Good morning. Welcome to a special session of the Village Board of Pleasantville, New York. Today is Friday, January 29. We have a special session this morning at 8:15 for the purpose of addressing resolution number 2010-21, which is authorization to enter into a franchise agreement with Verizon for cable service. We had a public hearing on our Monday meeting. That was January 25. We closed the public hearing at the conclusion of that meeting and noticed this special meeting to proceed to a vote. We left open the record for any written or emailed comments, and I can report that we received an additional letter from John and Lenore DiArco, similar in tone to the one I read into the record the last time, as well as approximately 10 more letters from the Verizon-sponsored form letter website. So all of those written comments will be in the hands of the clerk and added to the written record. PCTV has filmed our meeting of January 25 and reports that it will be up on the web as well as on the PCTV broadcast by next Tuesday. So anyone who's interested in following the history of this, all 3 hours of it, is welcome to pick up on that and read the details. So for that reason, we are not intending to accept further comments today from the public. Our primary purpose here is to vote. So we're going to move the resolution, and then any trustees that have anything that they wish to add to the record are welcome to do so, at which point we'll vote. We have a motion.
So moved.
You want to read it?
Sure. Whereas Verizon New York, Inc. is upgrading its existing telecommunications and information services network pursuant to authority under Section 27 of the New York Transportation Corporation Law and Title II of the Communications Act, and Verizon desires to use its network to provide cable service in the Village of Pleasantville. And whereas Verizon submitted a written application for a cable television franchise to the Village of Pleasantville, the Verizon application, which the Village of Pleasantville has reviewed, and whereas due negotiations between the Village of Pleasantville and Verizon have resulted in a proposed cable franchise agreement between the Village of Pleasantville and Verizon New York, Inc., which proposed agreement was filed with the village clerk on January 7, 2010, and whereas on January 25, 2010, at a regularly scheduled Village of Pleasantville board meeting, a public hearing was held on the proposed Verizon franchise agreement, at which members of the village board, Verizon, and the public were given notice and opportunity to comment. And now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Pleasantville board finds that it approves the character of Verizon, and be it further resolved that the village board finds that Verizon is legally, technically, and financially and otherwise qualified to meet the cable-related needs and interests of the Village of Pleasantville and will meet all statutory and regulatory non-discrimination requirements. And be it further resolved that the village board finds that although the terms of the proposed Verizon franchise agreement are not identical to those of the franchise agreement with the incumbent operator, the terms of both agreements contain no economic or regulatory burdens which, when taken as a whole, are greater or of lesser, should be or lesser, than those burdens placed upon one another. And be it further resolved that the village board authorizes the award of a non-exclusive franchise to Verizon to own, construct, operate, and maintain a cable system along the public rights-of-way within the Village of Pleasantville in order to provide cable service, which authorization is made in accordance with the applicable provisions of Title VI of the Communications Act and cable laws. And be it further resolved that the village board authorizes the mayor of the Village of Pleasantville to enter into a franchise agreement with Verizon New York, Inc. in a form approved by the Village of Pleasantville Special Counsel, and to execute any other documents necessary to effectuate the granting of the franchise on behalf of the Village of Pleasantville. And this was, I failed to read the most important, I suppose, resolution number 2010-21, authorization to enter into a franchise agreement with Verizon for cable television services.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table by Trustee Lopez. Is there a second?
Second.
One thing I wanted to add to the record, those of you who watched the hearing on Monday night may have heard the discussion about whether Verizon's service area could reach the residents of the Pleasantville School District. Verizon has returned to us yesterday a service area map for the Village of Pleasantville that indicates that the reach of the PEG channels through a Verizon service would substantially exceed not only the village boundaries but also the school district boundaries, with very limited exceptions. It appears that perhaps only a handful of houses would not be included. So that's a matter for the record, and we will add this map to the record as discussed. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I think that after our last meeting there were so many difficult issues expressed by the board and by the public with regard to the nature of some of the contract provisions, that there was quite a vetting of that, and we've received since then these several communications regarding people who are interested in receiving the service and asking that those two issues be separated. And it makes a very difficult decision for everybody, but that appears to be, from my perspective, where the fault line is.
Any further comment?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we laid down. I challenged Verizon on 3 different areas on Monday night to plug some holes in this, to act like a good partner for us, to recognize that what we're asking for is not one of economics, but one of strengthening the contract, because this contract is something that needs to be available and can be accepted by other service providers. I take it that we haven't heard anything on any one of those 3 requests. So I find that extraordinarily disappointing from somebody that wants to be our partner for the next 15 years. But I think Trustee Lopez hit it right. I think it's not a question of wanting the service or not. It's a question of how best to protect the village for the next 15 years is where the fault line creates.
No further comment. We'll proceed with a roll call vote. Steve?
Aye.
Mindy?
Aye.
Jonathan?
No.
Brian? Aye. I vote aye. Motion passes 4-1. So Verizon will now send this contract to the Public Service Commission in Albany, where it requires ratification. And after that is ratified, I'll be interested to hear from them how quickly they believe they can turn on the switch. Link Janice is here from Verizon. I invite you to comment on that.
We look forward to providing service. Thank you for your affirmative vote. And what we will do now is file for a confirmation order with the Public Service Commission. And what I have heard from our regulatory folks is we would expect that to be received about March 18th. Not a sure thing, but that's the date that we would expect. And as soon as we receive it, that would then become under your Section 2 of your contract, the effective date of the contract. I'll send a letter to Patricia Dwyer stating that, March 18th or whatever the date is the effective date, and then we will shortly thereafter begin to actually offer service. Residents then can go to our website or call and sign up for service. If service is not available in a particular area, there is a place on the website where they can enter their name and information, and we will contact them when the build is completed to that particular area.
And are residents who may already have FiOS internet and phone service already wired for cable?
Yes, they are. They already have. And if they have FiOS internet service as opposed to the copper-based, we call it DSL internet service, yes, they are already ready. They'll have an optical network terminal in their house. So getting them up and running for cable TV, if they want to order, it will be very, very easy for them. For others, it's still pretty easy, as long as the fiber optics are running in front of their house.
Understood. So thank you for that clarification.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just comment that as all of us have mentioned on many occasions, and as members of the public explained in detail on our Monday public hearing, this has been a process fraught with difficulty. It's been fraught with difficulty for a whole series of reasons, and perhaps primary among them is the reality that the technological backdrop, the economic backdrop, and the business backdrop to all of this is changing in ways none of us can yet predict. Speaking personally, I think it likely that the 15-year contract will be irrelevant long before it arrives at the 15-year point. And so some of our arguments are likely to become moot in ways that we could try to predict and may or may not be right. We will certainly go forward with the expectation that Verizon's good faith, which they represented verbally in the public hearing, will be represented throughout the term of the contract. We remain regretful that the good faith you have expressed verbally was not entered into the contract language, and as Jonathan indicated, I think every one of the 5 of us carries some angst about that, but we look forward to a successful partnership. It's our goal that every business that operates in the Village of Pleasantville does so successfully. Robert Hawk from Cablevision is here, and I invite you to come visit us Monday morning. It would please us nothing more than to be able to negotiate and complete a contract that, among other things, would deprive your new competitor, Verizon, from the opportunity to withhold payments to us. And so to that extent, I assume we are on the same side. So we look forward to that discussion and hope to engage it immediately, if not sooner. So I thank everybody in the Village of Pleasantville for their extended comments. I think that Monday night in Pleasantville was an example of what has made this place a great place to live and work, and will make it a great place to live and work in the future. I can say personally that amid the dark aspects of this discussion, I do think that we have taken a step here that increases the likelihood that our village will be in the middle of the current of the future information highway instead of on the sidelines looking in. So I thank you all for your attention. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. See you soon. Or in some cases, not.